and advertisers.
All right, what's up, everybody? A very happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. Another busy news day. I keep saying that every day. You'll be watching on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, we're everywhere, the FMAM dial. Thank you so much for joining us. We do have a lot to get to today and a lot of stories to cover, but I mentioned this yesterday, I mentioned it the day before. I told you I don't believe a word that Nancy Mace says. I don't believe she was a victim of sexual assault. I don't believe she calls herself pro-transgender. She's the opposite of that. Everything she says is so that she can remain in power and get donations and money. Well, I was right, it appears. When Nancy Mace claimed that she was the victim of a physical assault at a foster care event, she shows up in an arms sling yesterday. Turns out witnesses are saying it was just a regular handshake. James McIntyre was arrested. He's pled not guilty. And there are witnesses that are claiming that there was no physical assault. To the contrary, it was just a simple handshake. So to talk to us a little bit about this and more of Nancy Mace, the disgrace, always a pleasure to be joined by Midas Touch's very own Ron Filipowski, who's been covering this story. Ron, thank you so much for joining us again. How are you?
Yes, I'm the expert on the Nancy Mace handshake scandal.
Ron, it really is crazy.
I got to tell you, I was just, how there's all these fake Trump screenshots that go around. People put them out and then people believe they're real. And one that's going around right now is about where Trump says Barron is a better guitar player than Bruce Springsteen. And it's totally fake. So, you read the screenshot and it's like Barron's name is misspelled. So I thought about like replying to the guy and going, it should have been obvious that this is a fake tweet because Trump misspelled Barron's name. But then I thought about it and I'm like, I don't know that he necessarily knows how to spell Barron's name.
That's true. You're probably right about that. Ron, as if
I don't mean to get sidetracked there, but
no, that's okay. I mean, these are the times that we're living in, Ron. We're going to see this stuff every day. If it didn't get bad enough for Nancy Mace on this whole trans women in bathrooms nonsense and her tweeting 1,000 times about it, it seems like every day it's something new with her.
Yeah.
And I thought something was very strange about this story. Number one, there was no video evidence. Number two, nobody corroborated her story. Nobody said that she was assaulted. Number three, she didn't have any visible marks on her or anything. And she shows up in the chambers yesterday wearing this arm sling. And you've been covering this story. And this guy, James McIntyre, to my understanding, who was arrested, has received awards for his work, foster care work. And he doesn't have a criminal record. Very strange. And you've been covering this story, Ron. What can you tell us about it?
Well, when a member of Congress goes to speak at an event, and that's what she was doing, she was speaking at this foster care event, they don't go by themselves. They go with staff, security, the whole deal.
Right.
So you would think that one person on her staff or security or whoever would back up, come out and say, yes, I saw this and this is what happened, corroborate her. But not one has done that. In fact, what did happen is Nancy Mace's former communications director, who used to work for Nancy Mace in Congress, put out this statement. I'll read it to you on Twitter. This is the same woman who told staff, myself included, during January 6th, that she wanted to get punched in the face by a rioter so she could get on TV. She's full of shit, and her prop of a sling is a pathetic ploy for attention. That's Nancy Mace's own former communications director.
Wow.
So then Nancy Mace went after me again today, and she said that I should face the women in my life because I'm making light of this issue. If you take like her word, like her best case scenario, what she told the cops is that he shook her hand and wouldn't let go right away. Like he just held on to her hand. That's her version. Now, the other witnesses there's like multiple witnesses who dispute that. They said it was a normal handshake. And the other, so that's number one. So to come in an arm sling, and this is especially like a couple days after Trump was like arm wrestling Macron,
Right.
and was yanking his hand
Right.
around, to try and show what a tough guy he was. But but now the handshakes are supposed to be like an assault. So that was number one. And then the other thing that really tips it off is this, like Mace, got her whole news cycle thing going with the trans bathroom thing, and then that dies down, and she hadn't gotten any media attention for like 3 days in a row. And for her, that's like a crack addict going through withdrawals, who's like or a meth addict who's been out for 3 days, and the dealer drives by, and it's like you start chasing up. I mean, that she obviously was like looking for something to get herself back on TV. And of course, what is she doing today? I think though, even like Fox and Newsmax is getting tired of her, because even they're not giving her as many interviews on this nonsense. But she was on like Benny Johnson's podcast telling her story today, who was the Russian paid asset.
Right. I called her the Jussie Smollett 2.0 female version. Yeah, we both
called her Nancy Mace.
Yeah, that's really and what's really tragic about this, Ron, just like Jussie Smollett, is that the real victims, whether it be the real victim of a sexual assault or the real victim of an attack that has political ramifications, is it takes away from the real victims. Now, my question is this. I believe she made this up. You believe she made this up. There was no physical assault. It's a bunch of nonsense. I think she should be held to account, but what can be done? I mean, if you file a fake police report,
that's a crime.
Right, exactly. And I think it's a serious crime. So, Ron, what can be done about this? You have witnesses. Elliot Hinkle is one of them. I think there was another trans woman that was a witness as well that said this didn't happen. It was just a regular handshake. As you eloquently pointed out, there's nobody on her staff that's taking her side on this. What can be done about this, Ron?
Yeah, that can. I mean, I was a criminal lawyer for 29 years and handled many cases where people were charged with making a false police report. And how this usually happens is, look, you have to look at it from the cops' perspective. They weren't there. They didn't see it, right? No police saw it. So in that situation, an officer comes up and you have one person says this happened, the other. Now the officer has a choice. They can decide, there's just not enough here. That's number one. Number two, they can just write it up and send it to the prosecutor and say, this is what these people said. This is what you decide if there should be an arrest. You decide if you're going to charge somebody, but we're not sure, so we're not going to make an arrest. But in this particular case, since it involved a member of Congress, they decided to make an arrest. And they decided to make an arrest based solely on her word. And here's the other part too. We always look in these kind of cases for when was the outcry. We call it the outcry. When was the report made? In other words, like when this happened, did she scream and get on the phone and call 911 and call the cops and say, don't you go anywhere? Oh, no. No. Everybody left. She left. Her staff left. Everybody left. And then like 20 minutes later, she calls the cops. So clearly this was like a situation where she maybe thought about it and was like, oh, because what happened is the trans person, he wasn't even a trans person, okay? The other person was, the witness. Mm-hmm. But this is just a guy, he's not trans, the person who was arrested. And what he says is like, what I believe happened is he shook her hand and he said, you really need to, respect trans people's rights. He made that statement. Mm-hmm. And I believe that she walked away from there and she got pissed and she got aggravated that this guy would come up to her and say that to her.
Right.
So she decided to create this assault story, which is backed up by nobody, to teach this guy a lesson. How dare you come up to me and say this to me, a member of Congress? I'm going to show you. And she even tweeted that. Like she tweeted, F around and find out. That's what she tweeted. So what happens with these filing false police reports is they're always after the fact. Once the cops sort of dig into it, prosecutors start digging into it, and they make the determination that this is BS and they think it's That's when they will then charge the alleged victim with making a false report. So it always happens a few weeks later. But in this particular case, considering she's a member of Congress, it's going to be a long shot.
Do you think James McIntyre will have the ability and have an opportunity to file a defamation suit against her? I mean, his name is in the news now.
Yeah. In fact, I think McIntyre would have a very good case, but, members of Congress have immunity. And I would think that for things that they say in Congress, they don't have immunity for everything. They don't have immunity for crimes they commit. So I wouldn't think that they would have immunity for this under the speech and debate clause. But considering it was at sort of a congressional event, maybe she could make that argument.
Yeah, I hope he does. I just think she is a disgrace of a human being, and I'm glad you've been covering this as strong as you have. I want to get your take on Donald Trump kind of downplaying the fact that he might not be able to lower the price of eggs. You talked a little bit about this on social media today. It's interesting. He makes all these promises, which you've covered extensively, and now he kind of backpedals on it. What are your thoughts on this before he even gets into office?
Yeah, he's backpedaling on a lot. He said he was going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours, and now he's saying, well, there's a lot of moving parts, could be very difficult. See, he's already hedging his bets on a lot of things, including this. So the only thing that we can do is sort of catalog all of these things, call him out, show all the broken promises. Of course, he hasn't taken office yet, so you can't do too much yet. But once he takes office and these promises start getting broken, here's what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to keep all the horrible promises and he's going to break all the good ones. Like, all the ones where like, I'm going to, end war. I'm going to cut the budget. I'm going to buy a third. I'm going to balance the budget. All the good ones he's going to break. All the terrible ones, like I'm going to deport everybody and lock everybody up and go after the media. I think he'll keep those promises.
You're probably right. I think that makes a lot of sense. The bad stuff he'll keep, the good stuff, like wanting to actually help us when it comes to the economy or lowering prices. I think prices are going to get jacked up. Ron, I hope you stay on this Nancy Mace stuff. I know you will. You guys are doing a great job. If she's responding to you, you're doing something right.
Oh, yeah.
So please keep it up.
She always responds to me.
Yeah, well, because you hold her to account, and that's why I have so much respect for you and what you guys do at Midas Touch. Please keep up the great work, my friend. I love it. Maybe we'll catch up with you next week. Ron Filipowski, thank you so much for your time.
All right, man. We'll see you later.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ron. God, love what he does over there at Midas Touch. I love what they do. Let's hold Nancy Mace accountable. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to continue on this story, give you my thoughts on everything, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Donald Trump. Interesting what the press secretary is saying about Donald Trump. We'll talk about that and much, much more. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part, every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Boost your health. Boost your life. Beyond Wellness Family Practice and Urgent Care Clinic. A proud sponsor of USC football. 5580 West Flamingo and Lindell. Suite 106. Revitalize and rehydrate with our 20-plus IV cocktails. Plus, customize your weight loss journey with our tailored injection packages. Trust our experienced providers at our state-of-the-art facility. All covered by your insurance. Call now. Toll free. 855-380-6136. Remember, at Beyond Wellness, be happy, be healthy, be well.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for joining us on a busy Thursday news day. We're going to get into some of the other bigger stories of the day, including Trump running on ridiculous promises he can't deliver. Hey, if you like what we do here at Pushing the Limits and you want to support what we do, check out the website, pushingthelimits.live, where we sell merchandise on there, and you can donate. Go to the front page, donate button. Make a donation, $5, $10, $20, whatever you can afford. We greatly appreciate. And, of course, the official gaming bar I want to thank of the Pushing the Limits radio show, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. And they have some great promotions this month, including the Pass the Puck contest, where you could win up to $500 in free slot play. Check them out, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. We're talking a little bit about Nancy Mace, claiming that she was physically assaulted at a foster care event. She's a complete liar. I warned you guys about this days ago when the story first came out. It didn't make much sense to me. Claiming that longtime foster care advocate James McIntyre, seems like a pretty good dude to me, assaulted her, when witnesses are claiming that it was only a handshake, nothing more, nothing less than that, a conversation with a brief handshake. He was arrested, and I'm telling you right now, I believe these charges are going to be dropped. And Nancy Mace is the female version of Jussie Smollett 2.0. She claims she's the victim. She's the victim here. She's the victim there. Shows up in an arm sling so people can feel sorry for her. It's a joke. And Representative Tim Burchett, who's also a complete moron, says, where's the outrage in the media and from the left on the assault of Nancy Mace? Well, because an assault didn't take place. That's why. Because Nancy Mace is a liar. And meanwhile, while all this other stuff is going on, Donald Trump's press secretary nominee, Caroline Leavitt, who's appeared on this show before, is doing exactly what so many on the far right do and exactly what Donald Trump does. They lie. They do it every day, and they make claims that are not true. Listen to what Caroline Leavitt said about members of the media and what they're feeling and thinking behind closed doors.
If you talk to reporters off the record, they will tell you they are excited that President Trump will be back in the Oval Office because they know how much access they had to him and his press secretaries in his first term.
Oh, really? Who? Not me. Who? Give us names. Who are the people in the press that are telling you behind closed doors that they're really excited that Trump won? I'm not talking about Newsmax or Fox News or OAN. Who are the reporters? Notice how they never bring up any names. They just make blatant claims that are unsubstantiated, just like Nancy Mace, by the way. Caroline Leavitt is a liar and an election denier because she proved that on this show. And this is what Donald Trump had to say on Wall Street today because, again, talking about the media, he's claiming that the media has been tamed down. Listen to this.
But the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that.
What do you mean by taking them on again? Again, what do you mean by the media is tamed down? What, because Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski made a trip to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring so that you can do their show and they could get ratings? What does he mean by they're tamed down? Fox News isn't tamed down. OAN isn't tamed down. Newsmax isn't tamed down. They're the same right-wing buffoonery. What does he mean by tamed down? Speaking of tamed down, one of Donald Trump's talking points in running for office again was that he was going to bring down the price of eggs and inflation. He talked about it constantly on the campaign trail, making promises to you, the American people. Here's what Donald Trump had to say in October about rapidly bringing down the price of eggs and so on.
It'll all happen very quickly. This will rapidly drive prices down, lower interest rates, and put more money into the pockets of American consumers. It'll also bring your grocery bill way down. I have more complaints on grocery. The word grocery, it's sort of simple word, but it sort of means like everything you eat. The stomach is speaking. It always does.
Well, Donald Trump's stomach is definitely speaking. But that was what Donald Trump said back in October. Listen to what Donald Trump said just a little more than a month ago about inflation. Have a listen to this.
A vote for Trump means your groceries will be cheaper. So many people mention, I go in, so many people mention groceries, that beautiful but simple word groceries. Sir, my groceries. You don't think of it that way, but that's what they mention more than anything, my groceries.
Very, very interesting that Donald Trump would make those statements, because today, in an interview, he claimed that it was going to be really hard to drop down those prices. Now, most economists would tell you that prices are probably going to go up based on Donald Trump's policies alone. But today he said, yeah, it's going to be really hard. He said, quote, to Time Magazine, it's not that simple. It's hard to bring these things down once they're up. It's very hard. Now, he would have never made that statement before the elections. But you morons out there, you MAGA supporters, believe every word that he says, because Trump runs on crazy promises that he cannot deliver. Much of the electorate, sadly, believes him. And now Donald Trump wins the election, and he admits that he probably won't be able to deliver. He will not lower costs. In fact, his plans will lead to Americans paying higher prices. I guarantee you that 150%, and we'll be talking about that maybe even in just 6 months from now. And the right-wing conspiracy theories are continuing. Have you heard the stories about these drones? The drone stories continuing. Now, if you listen to some right-wing turd, Mr. Dadbod himself, Sean Hannity, he will lead you to believe that these drones are China. These drones are very serious. Have a listen to what Sean Hannity had to say about this.
How we don't have a greater sense of urgency here is unreal. This could be a dry run. This could be a potential attack. They don't know a thing about it.
It could be a potential attack. That's what Sean Hannity said on his show last night. But interesting, because White House spokesperson John Kirby commented about these drone sightings in New Jersey, and he said to the contrary, the opposite of what Sean Hannity and those in the right-wing media are saying. Have a listen to what John Kirby said earlier today about these drones.
With state and local law enforcement to provide resources using numerous detection methods to better understand their origin. Using very sophisticated electronic detection technologies provided by federal authorities, we have not been able to, and neither have state or local law enforcement authorities, corroborate any of the reported visual sightings. To the contrary, upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully. The United States Coast Guard is providing support to the state of New Jersey and has confirmed that there is no evidence of any foreign-based involvement from coastal vessels. And importantly, there are no reported or confirmed drone sightings in any restricted airspace.
Well, there you go. More MAGA conspiracy theories that have been debunked. And the Sean Hannitys of the world, and the more you get from the Laura Loomers and idiots on the far right that call themselves journalists and can't spell the word fact, are lying. You just heard it from White House spokesperson John Kirby. When is this stuff ever going to end? As soon as Donald Trump takes office, you won't hear any of these MAGA morons speaking negatively about drones or anything else. But the conspiracy theories, one after another, like a domino effect, that are always on the wrong side. But Sean Hannity will not go on Fox News today, and he won't play that soundbite. Sean Hannity won't go on the air today and say, you know what, geez, I was wrong. It's not Iran. I was wrong about that. It doesn't look like this is a threat to the country. No, they won't retract anything that they say. Even when you have the White House spokesperson, John Kirby, clearly stating that it is a conspiracy theory. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to take some phone calls on this. And I also want to get your thoughts on Nancy Mace, the disgrace, as I would call her, Jussie Smollett 2.0. We will get to all that when we come back. The number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to join the show, now's your chance to do so. Very rarely do we have phone lines open. We have 2 phone lines open right now. That number to call is 702-221-7283. We will take your phone calls when we come back. What do you think should happen to Nancy Mace? It appears as though this story is complete false. It appears as though she made up a fake police report, showing up in an arm sling the next day. What do you think Nancy Mace should be held accountable for this? Your thoughts on that as well. 702-221-7283. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll hear from you. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
Coming to Lee's Family Forum in Las Vegas, it's the premier college basketball event of the year, the Jack Jones Classic. Saturday, December 14th, featuring several high-profile matchups. Headlined by your UNLV Rebels, playing the Pacific Tigers at 7:30 p.m. Tickets start at just $19.99. The Jack Jones Classic at Lee's Family Forum. Saturday, December 14th. Get your tickets at AXS.com.
Complete Family Care in Henderson is open. No waiting, just walk in, see the doctor right away, have your blood and x-rays done on site, and so call them today at 702-747-7770. Fall allergy season is here. Get a 3-month allergy shot for $120. 3 months of allergy relief for just $120. Complete Family Care accepts all major insurances and Medicare. So visit us today at cfchenderson.com. That's cfchenderson.com. Or call them at 702-747-7770. That's 747-7770.
Clear Sky Resorts invites you to escape the ordinary with a vacation that's extraordinary. Experience one-of-a-kind glamping vacations full of fun and adventure at their unique Sky Dome Resort near the Grand Canyon. To ensure every Clear Sky Resorts vacation is fun and memorable, they offer lots of family-friendly activities, the majority of them free for guests. And because every great adventure deserves great food, their resident food truck promises to keep guests deliciously fueled for all the fun. To book your reservation today, please call 1-888-704-4445 or visit clearskyresorts.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us, talking about Nancy Mace, the disgrace. Be very clear on this. I don't believe she was ever the victim of a sexual assault. I think she's a liar. She certainly wasn't the victim of an assault the other day at this foster care event from a guy who, by the way, has received nothing but awards in his life with no criminal record. His name is James McIntyre. He was arrested. I believe these charges eventually will be dropped. Ron Filipowski said it best. Even a former employee of Nancy Mace called her a disgrace. I mean, what are we doing? How do we elect these people? What are we doing? So we're talking about that. And I just feel like this is where the Republican Party is at today, where they're noisemakers and they're not lawmakers. They care more about a transgender woman, a coworker, going into the woman's restroom than they care about real issues facing the American people. Abortion issues, the economy, health care. Donald Trump still has concepts of a plan. Does anybody out there that voted for Donald Trump find that problematic, that they still bitch and moan about Obamacare? But yet Donald Trump has concepts of a plan. They don't have a real replacement plan. 702-221-7283, the number to call. All right. Let's start off with Linda. Linda is first up on PTL. Hey, Linda, what's going on?
Well, I just wanted to say something. I'm worried about my Social Security. And I called the Social Security office, and they said, there's no problem. Don't worry about it. But if Trump gets in there, I don't know what he's going to do. And that's what I live on. And I kept telling these people online, to read Project 2025. Oh, Trump said he doesn't know anything about that. I mean, do they not read, or can I not read big words?
Well, this is what they care about. They care more about transgenders going into bathrooms. They care more about banning books. They really care more about what most people in this country do not care about, unless they're brainwashed far to the right watching Newsmax all day long. They don't care about important issues like Social Security. They don't care about maternity leave. They don't care about inflation. Now, they'll claim they care about the border, but then when we have a bipartisan border bill in effect, Donald Trump tells them, no, 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 don't vote for it. So they don't care about important issues like what you are referring to. And listen, I hope that doesn't happen to you. I'd like to think that there's a lot of Democrats and some good Republicans that will fight for you. But we'll have to wait and see, my dear. We'll have to wait and see. And I do appreciate your call. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Maureen. Maureen is next up on PTL. Hi, Maureen.
Hi, Brian. I live in New Jersey, and those drones are real. Last night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard this really weird sound, and I looked out the window, and there was this huge drone just cruising by.
Well, they're definitely drones. I certainly would not deny what you're saying. But what people on the far right are saying are that it's China and that it's a threat to the country. And when you have a press conference today that took place, and you have the White House spokesperson, John Kirby, saying that the conspiracy theories are not true, I tend to believe him over somebody like a Sean Hannity. There's no question that these drones are real. We've seen the videos of them, and I believe you. But is it Iran?
I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know who's doing this and why.
Well, I don't blame you for wanting to know that. It's obviously important. It could be a lot of different things, right? We don't know. But what we do know, according to John Kirby, is that these were not foreign entities, and this was not China, and this was not Russia. And so I think that's important. Well, it might make you feel a little bit uneasy, and I can certainly understand your concerns on that. So you saw a few that were right over your home?
Yeah, it was one huge one. Usually they go in formation, like 6 at a time. And they're way up in the sky. You just see the lights. But this one was like maybe 15 feet above the house next door.
Right.
And it was huge. It had a red, green, and white light, and it was making this weird sound.
What did it sound like?
I'm going to try to do it. It was like wah, wah, that kind of sound.
That sounded like Nancy Mace crying. I don't know. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm just
maybe
kidding.
she was on there.
Yeah, maybe. Oh,
But
listen.
I wanted to
Yeah.
go outside and take a picture of it.
Sure.
But then I'm thinking, this is crazy. I says, if it's from outer space, I don't want to be beamed up in that thing.
Well, I'm pretty confident that it's not from outer space. I'm pretty confident, based on what Kirby said today, that it's not a direct threat to Americans. At the same time, you are well within your right to be concerned and to want to know where it's coming from. Absolutely. I think that's a normal response. But I don't know if you saw the video. There's a guy, I think his last name was Wynn. There was a guy that saw, I guess, something along the likes of that during the day, and he took out a gun and he shot it. I would advise everybody not to do that.
No.
Don't do that, because that's against the law. So I'm sure the authorities will get down to the bottom of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure if it continues, we'll get some more information. But it is important to note that it could have been anything. It could have been a food delivery. I mean, we don't know what it was. So
Somebody on Blue. I'm sorry, Brian.
That's all right.
Somebody on Blue Sky, because I wrote about it, and they said that in Ohio they had these same things, and it was drug lords delivering guns and drugs in certain areas. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either, and I'm pretty sure that if it was something that serious, we would have found out about that by now. So don't be worried. Don't be concerned. I think everything's going to be okay. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens, okay?
Yes, thank you.
All right. You take care. Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Shelly. Shelly's next on PTL. What's up, Shelly?
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
If somebody grabbed my hand or my arm and hurt me, I would know immediately, and I would jerk or scream or say something.
Of course. That would be
immediate.
Of course. I agree. Yes.
Normal reaction.
Yes, I agree.
How do we know? We know she's lying about this. I'm sorry. We just know it.
Absolutely.
So, know that she is not lying about what happened to her when she was 16.
Oh, I don't think that happened to her at all. I think she's a liar. Listen, I've been very clear on that. I don't think she was ever the victim of a sexual assault. She's Jussie Smollett 2.0. Everything she says is virtually a lie. All she cares about is attention. She wants to play the victim, and then she supports
I want to call her something, and you tell me if I'm out of line.
Well, as long as it's PG-13.
Well, attention whore comes to mind.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
by the way, speaking of which, she showed up late to church, and she told everybody that her husband wanted to have sex with her, and that's why she showed up late.
I remember that.
So, yeah, you have a reason to anybody who would make a statement like that publicly, especially in church, is exactly what you just called her, my dear. So I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
If she reported this as a crime and it did not happen, the punishment, she should be punished. I'm sorry.
Well, let's hope that does happen. I
Legally.
believe she filed a fake police report 20 minutes after the fact, after everybody has
That's
left.
what I was trying to get out. Yeah.
Nobody, and by the way, my dear, nobody on her staff that was around her backed up anything that she said. So I think that's also very, very important to note. And moving forward, I think she filed a fake police report. And I think this guy, McIntyre, who I'm going to try to get on the show, who she claims assaulted her, has a great case against a defamation suit against her, and I hope he goes after her. I really do. I'm so sick of these people. All they want is attention. The Lauren Boeberts, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, and the Nancy Maces, the Jim Jordans, the Comers, all they want is attention. They're not lawmakers. We elect these people into office so that they can put laws on the books to help the American people. They're doing the opposite. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Jesse. Jesse is next up on PTL. What's up, Jesse?
Hey, how you doing, Brian? I'm out in Ohio. I'm a big fan. it's really weird because I've seen you a few times on TikTok, and I didn't know you had a YouTube channel. So I was like, oh man, I got to check this out.
Yeah,
So,
I'm definitely on. I'm definitely on there a lot more than TikTok. That's for sure.
No, but I'm glad I found it. But yeah, I was gonna. I am definitely no fan of Nancy Mace. I've always thought that she's just a chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
A chameleon will change, is a reptile, and it'll change its color based on its environment.
Yep.
And if you go back, I would tell your listeners, this woman has been on both. She's been on both sides of almost every single issue. You can find her.
Yep.
The real irony too, is that she used to be on the civil rights panel in Congress, but she's the biggest hypocrite on the planet in this latest little stunt that she's doing. It's almost like she's trying to get a job being a lobbyist or something when she gets out of Congress.
It really is, and you're right.
But,
what you just said about being on both sides, you're absolutely right. I mean, listen, she was anti-Donald Trump, especially after the January 6th insurrection. But then when she realized that she needed his endorsement to remain in power, then she started to coddle Donald Trump. You're absolutely right. She's been on both sides of every issue. A couple of years ago, she called herself pro-trans, right? Pro-LGBTQ. She was pro-trans rights. She's the opposite of that now. And now she's filing fake police reports,
It's crazy to think that the thing I don't get about, I don't want to say Republicans in general, but MAGA, they don't seem to, the thing that bothers me so much, they want to hold, like I hear Mohammed calling all the time and other people, and they're always trying to get you to condemn someone on the left, or they're always trying to point out the hypocrisy of somebody on the left.
Right.
J.D. Vance, Nancy Mace, these people have been on both sides of every single issue, and they just don't give it. They don't care. So I would just tell your listeners to check out, there's a really good New Republic article that goes over every single thing that she's flip-flopped on. I don't have the link specifically, but if you type in Nancy Mace New Republic, you'll see. And it's absolute. If I had a record like this, I don't think I'd even walk outside.
Yeah, it's
well, absolutely
Nancy,
embarrassing.
Nancy Mace, the disgrace. Jesse Smollett 2.0. Listen, what Jesse Smollett did, he belongs in jail. I feel the same way about Nancy Mace. They can both bunk together and call themselves victims. What's really tragic about both of these individuals is that they take away from the real victims in society. Right.
Yeah, and not only that, they're pulling resources away from someone who got robbed, someone who got beat, whatever.
Correct.
They don't yet they claim to be the vanguard of the police and law enforcement. So
it's an absolute.
They're just hypocrites. It drives me nuts.
It's a joke. It's an absolute.
I'm so glad
joke.
I found the show, and
well, thank you, my man.
I love the highlights. I'm catching up on everything, and I appreciate your voice, man. We need it now more than ever.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you for saying that. That's kind of you, and thank you for being a fan of what we do here. We appreciate you very much. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
Just three things. Number one, for the previous caller who was worried about her Social Security, don't worry about it. It's the people that are not on it yet. Those are the ones who are going to get hurt by the Trump administration by raising retirement ages, and some people stop paying into Social Security where they effectively kill it years down the line.
Yeah.
So basically right now the lady who called doesn't really have anything to worry about. It's these MAGA morons that are not immune from Trump's hateful policy.
Right. Understood.
As far as Nancy Mace, the only reason why she is in Congress is because her district was severely gerrymandered. And a senator actually came on an interview and stated we would not have had Nancy Mace in Congress if her district was not gerrymandered severely, heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone actually attacked a congresswoman and threw her down the stairs or did what she's claiming, the police would have had the videos to prove it, right, Brian?
Oh, sure.
I mean, in DC,
absolutely.
there's videotapes all over the
Well,
place.
it's not just
on every
that.
building.
I agree. It's not just that. She had a ton of staff around her. Not one staff member called police. Not one staff member corroborated her story. In fact, she called 911 called the police 20 minutes after the fact, and then decided that,
And
I'm so hurt.
Didn't a previous staffer call her basically out of her mind?
Yeah,
Nuts?
yeah. A previous staffer, as Ron Filipowski was on the first segment, said that, despicable what she's
I
done.
didn't see that part,
Yeah,
right.
with the arm sling.
And
It's
to
just
follow,
yeah.
And to follow in the chat and the Herbs and the MAGA Patricias, get it right, people, MAGA Patricias. It's always best to be thought a fool and to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Well, there's no
That's
question.
just a little.
Yeah, there's no question, Mark, that there are a lot of Nancy Maces in office today. And I put Nancy Mace in the same categories like a Marjorie Taylor Greene or a Lauren Boebert or a Jim Jordan. These are not lawmakers. These are noisemakers. But you file a fake police report, that is a serious crime. And she should be held, in my opinion, she should be held to account. All right, let's go to Bev. Bever's next up on PTL. What's up, Bev?
Okay, I have one main thing to say, but I'm just going to spend 5 seconds on Mace. I thought she said immediately after the handshake that he held on too long.
Nonsense.
Afterwards.
Nonsense.
But no, I've been creeped out by someone who holds on too long, but that doesn't put my arm in a sling.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
that's why she's a liar. I mean, she's an absolute liar.
Okay, so that's under the carpet now. Now, I'm from Ontario, Canada, and I don't know how many of your listeners watch Canadian news, but because of Trump threatening the 25% tariff on Canada, Ontario supplies hydroelectricity to New York and Michigan. And the premier threatened yesterday that if Trump goes through with his tariffs, he's going to cut off the supply that they're sending to those two states. I don't know, like anyone who's listening from New York and Michigan, write to your Senate, Congress, whatever, and tell them to tell Trump not to go ahead with this.
Yeah, I think Trump's going to do what he wants to do, regardless of what anyone says. And the problem that I have, well, there's a lot of problems that I have with his administration, but they're all yes people. They're a bunch of yes men and yes women, and whatever Trump wants to do, he's going to implement and he's going to do, and everybody around him is going to be like, yes, Mr. President, yes, Mr. President. That's the problem with the administration that we have incoming at the present time. Number to call again if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mike. Mike is next up on PTL. Hey, Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian. Hey, bud, I salute you because I've seen a ton of your videos, and how you put up with these jackasses is beyond me, but God bless you. What I was going to tell you is I learned a lesson with these fine maggots. When they start giving me crap online or in person, I just ask them one simple question. Please tell me what Lugan Press is to see if you're worth my time.
Mm-hmm.
And they run like scared little rabbits because none of them are educated, none of them know history. And that question has saved me a lot of headaches because I just tell them no. I want to know if you're legit.
Yeah.
Again, what is Lugan Press? And they don't know, but everybody, it's that's what Hitler did.
Right, but there's a lot of things that they don't know. A lot of these people
I know that, but
yeah, a lot of these people are extremely ill-informed. And, it's amazing to me the hypocrisy from the far right. And after we take another break and we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about Sean Hannity and what he's been talking about healthcare in the past and what he's saying about healthcare now. It's laughable, my friend. It really is. It's laughable. The guy has concepts of a plan. He still has concepts of a plan. Wants to complain about Obamacare, which, by the way, 20 million Americans are on right now. Not perfect, but save lives. But he has concepts of a plan. It's insane.
Yeah, and really nice. Elon Musk, I see he's under investigation by the IRS because he has a private company. They're supposed to give 5% their profits, whatever it is, every year. And he came up short the last 3 years, total of about $421 million. So this clown, he needs to be deported back to where he's South Africa or whatever. But anyway, I salute you, Bud, because how you put up with these guys is beyond me. Keep up the good work.
Oh, I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you for those kind words. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to David. David is next up on PTL. What's going on, David?
Hey, Brian. Before, when I heard you called Nancy Mace Mace the disgrace. What exactly do you find disgraceful about her?
Well, a lot of things. I don't even know where I would begin, but I guess I'll start by saying that she's tweeted over 500 times and put out videos about how she doesn't want a female colleague a trans female colleague to use the restroom with her. But yet when it comes to gun control or healthcare or even school shootings, maybe one tweet after a school shooting, thoughts and prayers. But then when it comes to a trans woman that she works with, she finds it the biggest threat in the world. So she's pandering to her base. That's number one. I find that disgraceful. And number two, just look at what she's done the last couple days. No witnesses corroborate anything that she has said. It was a handshake. She's wearing an arm sling because that's who she is. Even people that have worked for her have called her out for this. She is a disgrace. And she wants to talk about being the victim all the time. She's always the victim. She's always the victim. And then when people question her, she attacks them. I think she's a disgraceful human being, flip-flopping on every single issue, coddling to Donald Trump when she needs his endorsement. That's what I think.
Why is it disgraceful to not want men in women's bathrooms?
It's disgraceful to put more effort into something like that, thinking that is a bigger threat to this country, and then campaigning off of it, meaning selling T-shirts and hats and putting out videos and hundreds of tweets. Rather, when there's a real issue that is facing America, like gun control, she doesn't want to do anything about it, just thoughts and prayers. You don't see where I'm going with that?
Well, my point is that some issues are more important to some people than they are to other people.
So you think in this country,
it's very important to her. It doesn't mean that it's literally more important than gun control, but it can be more important to a specific person.
Okay, but here's where you're forgetting. And rape has nothing to do with what she's talking about, so let's not conflate the two.
Well, I was just going to make an analogy. If a woman was raped, would you blame her for taking rape very seriously versus, say,
horrible analogy,
gun control or drug crime?
Horrendous analogy. We're not talking about rape. We're not talking about anything even close to that, Dave, and you know that. See, the problem is she represents her constituents. It's not just about her. What she is doing is she is campaigning off of this, making money off of it, selling T-shirts and hats. And yes, I find that reprehensible, and I find it absurd. The same woman who said she was...
But this is something that's happening, though. I mean, men are using women's bathrooms, and she's saying it shouldn't be allowed, which is obviously
No,
true.
she's not saying...
I don't see why
she's not saying it shouldn't be allowed. She's selling T-shirts and hats and putting out videos and calling herself a champion and a hero and putting out hundreds and hundreds of tweets. It's not just one tweet or one video. Hey, we shouldn't be doing this. I'm going to work with Republicans and Democrats and discuss this. Okay, fine, whatever. That's not what she's doing, David.
But why does it only have to be one tweet? I mean, this is what she cares about.
It's not one tweet. It's not two tweets. It's not three tweets. And
Right.
if you actually think she's being genuine about it and she truly cares about this, then I think you're mistaken.
Yeah, but how is she not being genuine? This is the issue that she's picking, that she has an issue with. And other congresspeople pick, drugs. They pick immigration. They pick gun crime. I mean, everybody has their thing.
So you think Nancy Mace is a genuine person? Is that what you're saying?
From what I've seen.
From what you've seen, what have you seen from Nancy Mace that would lead you to believe that she's genuine? Was it the arm sling she was in yesterday? I'm just curious, Dave. Tell me why you think Nancy Mace is genuine. Tell me.
It's too early in this case to really know what's going on. I mean, it just happened a day
No,
or
it's
so
not.
ago. And
No, it's not. No, it's not.
How so?
Here's how so. The facts are what they are. Not one person.
But, I mean, until the case is over. and
Not
this is-
one person has corroborated her story. In fact, witnesses have told the opposite. She called police 20 minutes later. She didn't say she needed any medical attention, and then all of a sudden she's wearing an arm brace the next day over a handshake.
Yeah, and then again, we have to wait until this case is actually over, whether it gets dismissed or whatever it is, or this guy is found guilty, because I read he pled not guilty. We don't fully know. It does. I mean, yeah, people cooperated against her. It doesn't really matter. We have to wait and see what happens.
But you think Nancy Mace is a genuine person?
Yes, because
You
she's
do.
consistently saying men shouldn't be allowed in women's basketball.
She's not
Why is that
consistently
such a
saying it. She hasn't said it
Yes,
until
she is.
no, she's only said it the last couple months. All right, we got to take a break. Be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing Limits on KSHB.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
It's time to wake up and win the weekend. You're listening to the boss of the big ball. JP the Cat, giving you that grease. Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time for the live action on Vegas Scoreboard Express on KSHP 107.1 FM and AM 1400. Dive into the game day with my in-depth analysis, expert predictions, and winning plays from the sharpest minds in sports betting. It's more than just placing bets. It's about securing wins. Head over to jptheticket.com and be sure to tune in to KSHP this weekend from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time to ride the winning wave with VSX. Tune in and get your money back from the sports book. All money, all sports, no bull. Missed the live show? Subscribe to Vegas Scoreboard Express on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and wherever
Coming
you
to
enjoy your
Lee's
favorite
Family
podcast.
Ford in Las Vegas. It's the premier college basketball event of the year. The Jack Jones Classic. Saturday, December 14th, featuring several high-profile matchups. Headlined by your UNLV Rebels, playing the Pacific Tigers at 7:30 p.m. Tickets start at just $19.99. The Jack Jones Classic at Lee's Family Forum. Saturday, December 14th. Get your tickets at AXS.com. At The Human Bean, our mission is to serve up specialty coffee and smiles with a bean on top. With a bean on top is more than just a delicious chocolate-covered espresso bean. It's our way of saying thank you and of seeking to make your day, one drink at a time. Have you had a bean on top moment today? The Human Bean, with 2 Las Vegas locations, 5602 West Charleston and Lindell, and 5265 Camino El Norte in Washburn.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. By the way, I just remind, I guess my producer, I would tell my producer, by the way, what happened to the music? The music just went goodbye. I don't know what happened, but that's okay. We're back on live. It's all good. I want to remind myself to never eat McDonald's ever again. It's caused me some grief today without getting into graphic detail. Just not feeling too good from the McRib I had at 11 a.m. But I guess that's probably my fault. Getting a little bit of indigestion. If you guys are wondering, if you guys care. Some of you probably don't, but that's okay. I'm just kidding. What have we been talking about today? Well, we've been talking about Nancy Mace. We just had David who called in, who believes Nancy Mace is genuine. I don't think she's ever done anything genuine her entire life. And I tried to give Dave some examples, but I'm not sure he was listening to me. For example, she was anti-Donald Trump, and then when she criticized Donald Trump for January 6th. And then when she needed his endorsement because she wanted to get elected into office or reelected, then all of a sudden she was pro-Donald Trump. She calls herself pro-transgender rights, and then all of a sudden she's anti-transgender rights because she wants to sell T-shirts and be a champion for women in women's bathrooms. Let me be very clear on this, okay? This is not a real issue. I'm sorry, it's not. You can say it's a real issue. It's not a real issue. There's no evidence to support the fact that if you're transgender, you're more likely to commit a crime in a restroom than if you're not transgender. That is a lie. I want to be very clear on that. This is something made up and a made-up issue brought forth by far-right bigoted Republicans that want to campaign off of this issue. Nancy Mace is a perfect example of that. She is a liar. I don't believe she was ever sexually assaulted. She certainly wasn't assaulted the other day. That was a made-up lie as well. And that's what these MAGA Republicans do. They lie. They are liars. They make things up so that they can campaign off of it. And the far right will look up to Nancy Mace as she really cares about women's rights. Oh, really? Do you? You care about women's rights? How about telling a woman what to do with her own body? You care about women's rights, but you're totally okay with Roe versus Wade being overturned. You're a hypocrite at a minimum. I think Nancy Mace is absolutely a disgrace of a human being. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We'll take some more phone calls now. Let's go to Laura. Laura's next. What's up, Laura? Laura Lee.
Laura
Lie. Go right ahead. Sorry about that.
I just was going to say that I've, as a woman, have been in the restroom with a trans. They don't have anything to rape you with. They had it chopped off. What is the big problem with all the people thinking that this is going to hurt them?
Well,
don't get it.
So even if they got it, as you've put, chopped off or not, to me, that's not even the issue. They're trying to make an issue when there is no issue, and they're trying to make the case that there are all these trans women that are going into these women's bathrooms to watch you do your thing and all that, and it's a lie. It's just like the critical race theory stuff. Remember when they were making it sound like critical race theory is being taught in every single classroom in America? And what, that story just kind of fizzled away, didn't it? It's the same thing with the DEI stuff, the critical race theory stuff, the trans people in women's bathrooms, Donald Trump lying and MAGA people lying, saying you drop off your kids at school and then they come back another gender. These people are a bunch of liars. That's what they are. They're fearmongers and they're liars. And Nancy Mace is a despicable human being. And the fact that there are some people that would call into the show and call Nancy Mace genuine is like calling into the show and saying Donald Trump is the most honest person you've ever heard of. It's the same thing. Donald Trump is a habitual liar, and Nancy Mace is pathetic. She's despicable. Look at her in that arm sling. It's a joke. It's a joke.
I agree 100%. I just don't understand why people think that she's telling them the truth and not lying to them.
It's the same kinds of people, my dear, that believe Donald Trump when he says he's going to fight election integrity, and then they give all their money to Donald Trump. They all their kids' college tuition money to Donald Trump. It's the same people out there that still believe Donald Trump when he said he won the 2020 election. It's the same people out there that believe Donald Trump when he says it's going to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours. It's the same type of people out there that think Melania Trump and Donald Trump are in a loving marriage and a loving relationship. It's this, I mean, it's a joke. It's the same people that call it a mandate. It's a joke.
I agree with that 100%. I've also been raped, and it took me over 40 years to even talk about it.
I'm so sorry.
And Nancy Mace to go around saying that, oh my gosh, I was raped, and all that just makes me sick to my stomach, and I can't believe idiots that believe this crap.
Well, I'm very sorry, my dear, that happened to you. I wish it didn't. And unfortunately, people like Nancy Mace take away from real victims like you. And I believe you, my dear, wholeheartedly. I don't believe a word Nancy Mace says. Let me repeat myself once again so everybody can listen. I don't believe one word that Nancy Mace has ever said, ever. She is a habitual liar. She plays both sides of the fence. She plays the victim card over and over and over again. And the images of her in an arm sling yesterday are a perfect example of who she is as a human being. She had a handshake, and she didn't like what the gentleman said. And by the way, I'm sure he didn't say anything out of line. He just wants trans people to have equal rights. But, Nancy Mace takes offense to that, and she decides to call the police and file a fake police report. We should all be putting together a fund for this guy, James McIntyre, who I'm going to try to get on this show, so that he can sue her and file a defamation suit against her for filing a fake police report. This was a fake police report, and Nancy Mace is a liar. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up on PTL. Hey, Paul, what's going on, man?
Hey, man. Oh, man, this is a rough time in our country. I'm disgusted that Time put Donald Trump on the cover of his magazine, Brian.
Yeah, I am too.
This just honestly, I was on a live this morning, and listen, I think you and I agree. Nobody is rejoicing in the assassination of a guy. But I will say this, and I've seen this a lot. This feels a lot like Via's for Vendetta. I mean, what are people supposed to do, Brian? We got the healthcare system that's letting 70,000 people die because of they want to make more money. We got 450 mass shootings just this year alone in America. And Nancy Mace is talking about transgenders in bathrooms. They pick out one of those shootings. Oh, look, Lincoln Riley, out of the thousands of mass shootings, that one was done by an immigrant. Oh, go scare the white people.
Yeah.
And then people like Scott Jennings and CNN and Time Magazine, Donald Trump effing raped a woman, Brian.
Yep.
And they put him on the goddamn cover of Time Magazine. And I am upset because I have people in my family that are victims of rape, and they're horrified.
Yeah, you're right.
We're a shithole country.
It's amazing. You bring up Lincoln Riley, right? And obviously it's a tragic story. With that being said, there were, sadly, plenty of undocumented immigrants that committed very serious crimes, including murder, under the Donald Trump administration. But you never heard any Republican under that time frame bring up their names. Now, I've brought up some of those names on this show, not to use them to score political points, just to make the point, which is it happens under Republican and Democrat presidents' leadership.
I know.
And it's horrible, and I wish it didn't happen, but they use these deaths to score political points. And then after a mass shooting where children are killed, Republicans will accuse Democrats of using it to score political points, when I could not disagree with that more. When Democrats talk about gun control, it's because they don't want innocent people to die in this country. They don't care what they look like. They don't care where they're from or whether they have an R or D next to their name. They don't want innocent people to die, and they want to do something about it. When Democrats talk about gun control, they're not doing it pandering, trying to get votes. They're doing it because they actually care about the safety of the American people. But when Republicans complain about the border, when Republicans talk about the Riley death, they're not doing it because they care about the American people and safety, because if they did, they would do something about gun control. And by the way, any of these Republicans out there that say they care about kids, and they want to talk about child sex trafficking, these are the same bastards who didn't want the Matt Gaetz report to be out there in public, so they could go fly a kite. They're all liars and hypocrites.
But Brian, this is listen, I'm just upset because these are, who's going to get screwed? The regular, everyday people. Trump doesn't give a shit about them. He doesn't care if they are unemployed, if they have to work 8 jobs. He just worries about us rich people. Elon Musk went on Fox News yesterday and said, any person in Congress or Senate that doesn't approve his cabinet picks, he will personally fund his opponents. Brian, we're leaving democracy. We're going to autocracy where we're ruled by oligarchs. So I guess my question to you is, what are people supposed to do? Like, they're working 2-3 jobs.
Yeah.
They can't pay their bills. They can't afford food. And we got Elon Musk walking around like a goddamn king and a god because he owns half the wealth in this country. Like, what are people supposed to do? I mean, it's an honest question. What are they supposed to do if not protest or start a revolution? Because the people being in power are doing the same thing over and over again. They have no reason to change.
Under the Donald Trump regime, the rich will continue to get richer. The poor will continue to get poorer. If you look at most Democrats that are in office, that have been president of the United States, that have been in leadership positions, many of their policies do not help the rich. They actually help middle class and the people that are poor living paycheck to paycheck. Not every Democrat is perfect, but if you look at the policies that are even implemented today, whether it had been raising minimum wage, whether it be something simple like maternity leave or unemployment benefits, welfare, food stamps, none of these were implemented because of Republicans. So people vote against their self-interest, unfortunately.
But Brian, and you're right. Like, I don't know how you fix that. Like, Texas voted Ted Cruz, who left his state while people were literally freezing to death, burning their furniture to stay warm, and he goes to Mexico and they re-elect the jackass.
It's the same reason why people voted for Donald Trump. They don't care if you're an adjudicated rapist, and they don't care if you leave the state when your state is in an emergency and fly to Cancun, so long as you have an R next to your name, because they hate Democrats that much. And I'm sick of these people, and quite frankly, I feel like it's almost half the country now. I really do, and it's
Brian,
sad.
Can I say one last thing?
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of callers.
Yeah.
You know, and I know this is an unpopular opinion. I am personally sick and tired of people saying that we're the greatest country in the world. I am sick of this flag worshiping, flag wearing, taking a knee, standing, taking off your hat, putting your hands over your heart. We live in a shithole country right now. We don't care about people. We care about rich people. Do you agree with me? Because I'm sick of this. We're the greatest country in the world. For who? For Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg?
Well, I'll tell you.
Who is great for this country?
I'm not, this is something, thank you for the call, Paul. I'm not, how should I word this? I'm going to say something that I've never said on the air in 20 years. And I've never uttered these words in my life, but I am going to say it now. I do not believe the United States of America today in 2024 is the best country in the world. I do not. Because I see who we voted back into office. I see all the bigotry and the hatred. Now, listen, we have more freedoms than most countries in the world. I'd certainly rather live in the United States than a lot of other places. There's no question about that. And we still have a lot of freedoms and benefits in this country that many other countries in the world do not have. I don't discount that. But think about where we are at as a country right now. Think about how divided we are. Think about the people that are going to be leaders and leading this country. Think about the people that might be leaders, like the Pete Hegseths of the world, the Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s of the world, the Tulsi Gabbards. Best country in the world? I don't hate this country. I love this country. I hate a lot of things that are happening in this country right now. So I agree with Paul's sentiment. Are we the best country in the world? I'm not so sure anymore. It's sad where we're at. The culture wars, the hypocrisy. It's only good for me. I don't care if it's not good for you. It's only good for me. And we have a guy that basically owns half the world, who now is pretty much acting as Donald Trump's closest advisor. You want to call him the vice president, that's fine. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Gary. Gary is next up on PTL. Gary, what's going on?
Brian, with all due respect, you need to put the crack pipe down.
Okay, I've never taken crack in my life, and I don't think that's a funny statement to make. I don't do drugs, so go ahead with your comments. But why do you think I'm on crack? What have I said on this show that would lead you to believe I'm on crack?
Because this show is definitely on crack. It was better when you had Chris Quinn on once in a while.
Okay, Gary,
it was more interesting.
Let's try to focus. Okay, I'm not interested in what you think is more interesting or not. What do you disagree with me? What have I said on this show that you disagree with? Let's start there.
Because you are always pandering to your
okay.
base
Stop making.
callers
Okay,
on-
first of all, I don't pander to anybody. These are my own thoughts. Okay, so give me a specific example of something I've said on the show today that you really disagree with. You think I'm just wrong and I'm pandering on, but please be specific. Don't make general comments.
You always say the same things over and over. Be
You always make
specific.
generalizations over and over. You just accused me of pandering. I'm asking you for a specific example. Do you think that's unfair when somebody calls into this show and they say I pander to people, which, by the way, I don't. These are my own opinions. Nobody tells me what to do or say. But if you're going to accuse me of something like pandering, then give me an example of what I've said today that would lead you to believe.
But you keep
Okay, go ahead.
talking.
Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead.
You're always picking out the worst in the group. You're like an infomercial for lefties. I mean, everything's about Trump this and Trump that. Like, it's a shock that somebody running for office exaggerates and possibly lies a little bit about what they can do to get elected.
Okay, so first
Gee,
of
I'm
all, if you're
shocked.
talking about Donald Trump, he doesn't lie a little bit, so that is a blatant mischaracterization. That's number one. Number two, he is the incoming president of the United States. There's not one radio show across the country, and there's not one TV show across the country that is not talking about Donald Trump, whether you're pro-Donald Trump or whether you're anti-Donald Trump. So I guess everybody else is pandering too. Your criticism of me would be about every radio show in the country and every TV show in the country, whether you're watching Fox News, Newsmax, or CNN.
Yeah,
So
but
you're wrong about don't butt me. Don't butt me. Don't butt me. You're wrong. Oh, okay. I'm a sleazy buffoon. So first you say I'm pandering. You can't come up with anything specific other than why do you keep talking about Donald Trump? Because you're an imbecile, number one. And number two, then you go with more ad hominem attacks on me, and you can't be specific. You're not even capable of having a discussion. You're not even capable. What have I said on this show that you disagree with? Please be specific. And I don't want to hear, oh, all you do is talk about Trump and this and that. I'm giving you another opportunity. Please be specific, Gary, and tell me what
You're lying. Right now, you're lying.
What am I lying
You're
about?
You're just tripping me up and talking all
What did I
over me
lie about?
Like you do to
What did I
everyone
lie
that
about?
doesn't like you.
What did I lie
doesn't
about?
agree with you.
What did I lie about?
You call people names.
Gary,
you get all,
bottom down
what do you
again.
call it?
Gary, now you called me a liar. First you said I pander, and I said be specific. What have I said on this show that would lead you to believe that I'm pandering? You couldn't come up with anything specific, and you said I talk about Donald Trump too much, which is a really weird and absurd comment. Now you just said that I'm lying. You're never specific on anything, but I'm probably going to regret this. I'll ask you again to be specific. I don't think you're capable of it. Gary, what have I ever, in fact, I'll hold on, Gary. I'll give you an open space of 20 years of radio. Can you give me an example? Not just today, but any time in my radio career where I blatantly lied about something. Go ahead. Gary,
I just think you are.
no, I didn't ask
fake
you.
and a
I
fraud.
didn't ask you generally what you thought about me. That wasn't the question, Gary. I need you to focus, okay? You called me a liar. So we're going to go through this one more time, Gary, and I'm trying to be very patient with you, and you're making it very difficult. You said I pandered. You couldn't give me any specific examples other than I talk about Trump too much, and I said that's every radio show and every TV station because he's going to be the next president, incoming president. And then you called me a liar. And I think when somebody calls somebody a liar, I think it's a very fair question to say, okay, what did I lie about? That's all I'm asking you, Gary. You haven't given me one example yet, so I'm going to ask again. Let's try this one more time. Gary, you called me a liar. Please be specific. Tell me what I've lied about ever in the history of me being on the air, because I know you've been listening to the show for a long time, even though you think it's boring. Gary, what have I lied about? Please be specific. I think it's a very fair question to ask when you call me a liar. Do you not think that's a fair question to ask? What have I lied about, Gary?
You gonna let me answer?
I'm waiting.
Hello.
I'm waiting. Hello. What did I lie about, Gary?
You lie about any Republicans that believe there's too much gun control. As tragic as it might be, we don't want to be like a country.
What's the
like
lie?
Cuba.
What's the lie? I didn't ask
the
what
lie
your
is that you have to have guns. That's the lie, and you're lying about it.
Hold on, pot him down again. When did
saying,
I say that we shouldn't have guns? Never have I said we shouldn't have guns. In fact, I'm pro Second Amendment. I believe everybody has the right to bear arms. So you just were wrong on that example. Gary, I need you to listen now, because I think that's a big problem with you, Gary, is you don't know how to listen. You called me a liar. I've never lied about guns. I've said that we need to put some stronger laws on the books. I've never said that I'm against the Second Amendment. I think everybody should be allowed to carry. I've always been pro Second Amendment. So, Gary, you failed on that example. That's okay, though. I'll give you another example. Or I'll ask you to give me another example. You failed on the first one. Let's try this again, Gary. What have I lied about? Gary? Did we lose Gary? Oh, Gary hung up. So I'm a panderer. I pander to people, which is not true. But yet he couldn't give me any example, and the only thing he said was you talk about Trump too much. I guess every radio station in the country and every news station in the country panders. Then he called me a liar, and he went into this weird gun control rant. Somehow he made it sound like I don't think people should own guns, which, again, is not true. I've never said that. I'm pro Second Amendment. I want there to be responsibility. I think we should have stronger laws on the books. Again, this is what these people do that are very low IQ callers that call into this show. I would assume voted for Donald Trump. They accuse me of things. They call me a fraud. They call me a liar. They call me a panderer, but then they can't come up with one legitimate example. Thank you, Gary. It's why I always give you a platform on this show to show everybody how stupid people like you are. And yes, Gary, you're very stupid. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Frank. Frank is next. What's up, Frank?
Hey, Brian. I just caught your program on Facebook a couple months ago, and you're down the middle person that I see and I hear.
Oh, well, thank
but
you.
With all these people on the right side that can't figure out what is right and what is wrong, they are in terrible state. They are really, like we just said, next Mace. These guys, they don't know what to say the right thing, or the wrong thing, and they can never get the thing right anyway if they wanted to.
Well, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you, and I think Nancy Mace is a perfect example, an absolute perfect example of where the Republican Party is at in 2024. It's very simple. Nancy Mace is not a lawmaker. She's a noisemaker. Nancy Mace has never, in my personal opinion, been genuine about anything she's ever done in her life. At least not when she's been in public office. I don't know the way she lived her life before she was in public office, but since being in public office, she doesn't have a genuine bone in her body. If you really want to talk about pandering to the caller before that just called in, Gary, it's Donald Trump. You want to talk about pandering before we take some more phone calls at 702-221-7283? I'll give you an example of pandering. I want to play an audio cut for you. This is Sean Hannity fairly recently talking about healthcare. This is Sean Hannity talking about his opinions of the problems of healthcare in the midst of this CEO, Brian Thompson, who was murdered. I want you to listen to the words of Sean Hannity, and then we're going to dissect the policy of Donald Trump when it comes to healthcare. Have a listen to what Sean Hannity said about healthcare.
Only so much people can take. Now, we could talk about the problems with the healthcare industry, which are very real for people. And I would argue, in part, because of Obamacare's failure, the lack of innovative ideas like health savings accounts, healthcare cooperatives. There's one in Wichita, Kansas. It's been duplicated all over the country. Concierge care, $50 a month. You get catastrophic coverage. And guess what? That'll cover just about everything. We don't talk about innovative healthcare ideas.
We don't talk about innovative healthcare ideas. Would you say it's an innovative healthcare idea to say I have concepts of a plan and to not have an actual real plan for 9 years? Would you say that? You cannot make this up. Sean Hannity is saying we lack innovative healthcare ideas. He's blaming Barack Obama. Meanwhile, Donald Trump says he has concepts of a plan. What type of universe am I living in here? Would you say that's innovative? The dad bod himself, Sean Hannity. Is that innovative? I have concepts of a plan. Boy, I hate that Obamacare. It's really terrible. Really, Mr. President, what's your replacement plan? Well, I have concepts of a plan. I have concepts of a plan. And idiots like Sean Hannity want to preach to us about not being innovative when Donald Trump doesn't even have a replacement plan, and I don't believe he ever will. He's had 9 years to come up with a replacement plan. Can you sit down with your advisors for a couple hours and come up with a plan? But yeah, Donald Trump's the innovative one, right? Boy, I hate that Obamacare. Well, what are you going to do about it? I don't know. I have concepts of a plan. Can you imagine in the workplace or at school, or I have concepts of my homework? I have concepts of a radio show today. I really didn't put the show together, but I have concepts. 702-221-7283, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Laura's next. What's up, Laura?
Hi, Brian. I'm calling from Utah. I've talked to you before. First of all, I want to thank you for standing up for transgender people. I have a transgender son, and what Donald Trump has done has those ads that he ran and what Nancy Mace is doing and what they passed a bill just today, I think, in the House to take some transgender care away from service people. They have unleashed a mental health crisis that they don't even understand. These are human beings.
Mm-hmm.
These are human beings with serious gender dysphoria.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are on health care, adults. My son is almost 30, and he transitioned 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Donald Trump is talking about taking away, nationally, taking away health care from all transgender people, just saying, okay, you can't have your hormones anymore.
Can I ask you, if I may, if it's okay, and forgive me if I'm being too personal. So your son is a transgender man? Is that what I understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. When did he have the transgender surgery, if you don't mind me asking?
I can be a little bit personal. He hasn't had all the surgery. He's had the top surgery.
Gotcha.
And he's been on hormones.
Okay. We don't have to
years.
get, okay, understood. Do you feel like he is a happier person now that he had the surgery and he is the person that he wants to be?
Not only wants to be, he's the person that he is.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
I knew as a mother when he was 2 years old. I knew. I mean, it's a long story, but I as a mom would have never allowed anything to happen. As a child.
Right.
What's happening with children, I think, is way too extreme.
So I think this is here's my opinion. And by the way, I am so glad that your son is happy, living the life that he wants to live. That's the way it should be in society.
Let me say one thing.
Yeah.
Let me say one thing, Brian.
Yeah.
He's married.
Good.
They adopted 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
He has a little girl with Down syndrome and a little boy that's almost 2.
Good.
They are a very happy family. I mean,
I'm happy to hear that.
They're normal people.
So I think
Go ahead.
we need to hear more from people like you. We need to hear. I would consider this a happy success story. That here you have a child who was not happy. I'm going to say at the time, right, in her body at the time, wanted to be a man. Which, by the way, I don't care. When I say I don't care, it's not because I don't care about your child. I don't care what other people say. All I care about is what your child wants, and the family and doctors. That's your business. When I say I don't care what other people's opinions are. Oh, well, that's dangerous. I don't care what their opinions are. What I care about is that someone's living a happy life, and let them do what they want to do. Let me ask you another question. Your son now, a transgender man, he goes into the men's restroom, I would assume. Any issues at all?
Never. He's never had one issue ever because he minds his own business. And I will tell you something. It is not a sexual thing.
Right.
They make it sexual. They make it like these people are perverts.
Right.
It is not a sexual thing. Gender changes are about who a person is.
I agree.
It is not about sexual preference and turning these people into predators.
Oh, it's awful.
That's what that ad was all about.
What would you say to Nancy Mace? You're somebody that has a transgender son who's on. What would you say to somebody like Nancy Mace, who at one time a few years ago said she's pro-transgender rights? What would you say to her as a mother to a child who is now 30 years old, not a child, who's transgender? What would you say to Nancy Mace?
First of all, I would want to introduce her to my son and his family. That's the first thing I would want to do. And I would say, I would say take a half an hour and talk to him and get to know him and see and tell me that this is not a normal person who just wants to live his life quietly and not bother anybody. And what you're doing is trying to make him into a weirdo, which he's not. He's just a normal man. He's just a normal person, and he's the person that he was always meant to be.
Well, I'll tell you, I would love your son to call. He's welcome to call into this show anytime. I do know people who are transgender who are very kind-hearted. Let me tell you something. People who, and you can tell me if you disagree with this or not, we'll probably agree. Some of the people who have been in society oppressed, and people that are frowned upon by bigots, people that have been treated differently because of their sexual orientation or maybe religion or the way they look like. Some of these people that I talk to on a regular basis are some of the kindest people I've ever met in my life. They don't have an angry bone in their body, and they just want to be left alone, and they just want to live their life, and they just want to be happy. Leave me alone. Just let me be happy. You do you. Let me be me. I've met so many of these people, and it gets me so frustrated and angry. And as a parent, I can't even imagine, how you feel about some of these people. And I am so happy to know that there are people out there like your son who's living the life he wants to live. Let me tell you something. And I'm going to bring this up because I don't care what people think. I had to work with somebody in this city. Luckily, I don't work with this person anymore because she's despicable as far as I'm concerned. I had to work with somebody that once did a radio show in this town. And she once said on the air that she didn't think two men should raise a child or two women should raise a child because they're not as, I guess, capable, and they're not as well equipped to be parents as a straight mother and father would be. Now, that person, rightfully so, got fired for saying that. But that's how some of these people think. And what is it really from? It's dumb people. This individual who used to do a radio show, who I did work with at one time, who I couldn't stand then and I can't stand now, is a very stupid woman. She's very ignorant. And to make a statement like that, on or off the air, you have to be a certain type of stupid. To judge people based on sexual orientation, you have to be a very stupid, hateful person. To judge somebody because they're transgender, to think that we should be in a society today where we should ask people to drop trow to see what's between their legs, to see if they're in the right restroom or not, are some of the dumbest, most despicable people that America has to offer. And I'm going to tell you something else. It's not coming from the left. These people that are anti-trans, these people that are anti-gay are Republicans. They are not Democrats. They are the Nancy Maces of the world. And the people that look down to people like your son as being weirdos, or we need to stop people like that in our society. I don't want that person in my restroom. We need to stop medical benefits from paying for these people to have the medications that they're on. These are all the same types of people. And there's some of the same types of people that stormed the Capitol on January 6th. These are the same types of agitators out there that attack the Black Lives Matter movement. They're the same types of people that say Daniel Penny is a hero. They're the same types of people that thought Derek Chauvin did absolutely nothing wrong. And wait for it, the same kinds of people that go to Donald Trump rallies and look at Donald Trump as some sort of hero. Well, guess what? They're all idiots, and they're bigots, and they're despicable, and they're a danger to society, and they're not just a threat to people like you and your son. They're also a threat to people like me who care, who have decency. Yes, I'd like to think that I have empathy for people. And these are all the same people, and I put them all in the same category. Find me a liberal in society or a liberal that is an elected official that is anti-trans. Find me a liberal or a Democrat in society today that doesn't think that gay people should be married. If you find me somebody, it's less than 1%. Find me a liberal or somebody on the left that doesn't have compassion for the trans community or the gay community. You'd be very hard-pressed to find them. But I could name you 100 names off the top of my head, like the Nancy Maces of the world, that are anti-trans, they're anti-gay, they're anti-diversity. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what Make America Great Again stands for. These are a bunch of bigoted people in nature that go after people like you and your son.
Yeah, and the last thing I will say, and I said it at the beginning, is that the suicide rate is going to go up, unfortunately. There's going to be a mental health crisis because these fear tactics have caused, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be very bad
it is.
for our community. And the LGBTQ community is going to have to find other ways to get the medication, to find ways to support each other, because it's going to be an onslaught of these disgusting people.
Yeah, well, I'll say this in closing, my dear. I support people like you. Please tell your son I am in his corner, and I support people like him as well. You sound like a lovely mother. I'm sure you're a great mom, and I'm sure your son appreciates you for that. And thank you so much for calling in and thank you for telling your story. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Jack. Jack is next on PTL. What's up, Jack?
Hey, Brian.
Hey.
America's back, man. That's the Fox thing. America's back. Like you're
what does that even mean, Jack? What does that even mean?
That was on the precipice of the Daniel Penny, and things are getting back to order. Where you could be on the subway and just choke somebody out if you don't like the things that they're spewing, and the gentleman was caught after taking out some street justice on that CEO from he's the hero, and if you choke a homeless person, that's the hero.
Can I be honest with you? There's a group of people that voted for Donald Trump where if they brought slavery back, they would say America's back. I really believe that.
They would make a case for it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't even. They would say states' rights.
Right.
Let's
leave it up to the states. Yeah. Let's leave it up to the states. I'm telling you, if Donald Trump today said, listen, I don't really have an opinion on slavery, I'm going to leave it up to the states. Scott Jennings would be on CNN tonight and be like, hey, you know what? I think Donald Trump's doing the right thing. Let the states decide. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating. I really believe they would do that.
You're not making sense for sure. I mean, these are the you went through a whole litany of they're anti-vax, they're anti-Department of Education, they're just anti everything that's not. And I hate to get back to the white Christian nationalists, like they hide behind the Bible and justify their bigotry for that. It's just the same thing. But Brian, these people are. They assume that they're in charge now. They're in charge. So we're the ones on crack. We have MAGA Patrick and the other guy that called in. We're the crazy ones. They're to them they're completely normal. And the America people have spoken. And to them they think they got run of the mill and their opinion is the one that should be followed by everybody. It's amazing. Like MAGA Patrick's that's their leader. He calls in and you can't answer a question. You can't even have a conversation with these people.
You can't have a conversation, but what I do is I give them an opportunity to call in, and I every single time I will ask them to be specific, and most times they won't be able to answer the most basic of questions. Jack, I appreciate your call, my friend. Thank you. I give them the opportunity to call in, and I give them the opportunity to embarrass themselves, but doesn't always work out well. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation as I try some new headphones on. My equipment is not working properly, just like Donald Trump's equipment doesn't work properly. That's what I heard from Stormy Daniels and Melania Trump. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Nancy. Nancy's next up on PTL. What's up, Nancy?
Good afternoon, Brian. Nancy Mace is a disgrace, but the people who are protecting Matt Gaetz should also be brought up on charges for aiding and abetting.
It is interesting, isn't it, Nancy, that the Republican Party like to call themselves the law and order party, and they always talk about child sex trafficking. Okay, great. Sex trafficking is horrible, and I'm on board with that. But then when they actually have to deal with one of their own, yes, I do believe Matt Gaetz had sex with an underage girl. I believe the woman. And when it comes to releasing the story publicly and releasing the report, not story, releasing the report publicly, which obviously is very damning, all of a sudden Republicans say, oh, no, we don't want that story to be public. So on one side, they say they want to protect kids, and on the other side, they want to protect Matt Gaetz. Excuse me. I mean, it's embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing, and it's criminal. It is criminal. If it was anybody else, there would be charges. They would go through the court system or probably plead to something. And all these people around him who were protecting him, and all these people around Nancy Mace who were protecting her, they're guilty as well. There is a law that you are guilty for aiding and abetting or protecting, and also you can be found guilty after the fact of the same charge.
I understand.
Because you are protecting.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm not saying that's far-fetched at all. All I'm saying is he wasn't convicted of a crime, which makes it very difficult to do that. What I want is I want that report to be public. Very difficult to convict somebody on aiding and abetting if you can't prove that a crime was committed. Now, I do want to see that report, and I understand where you're coming from, but I don't want to hear any of these Republicans talk about children when they didn't want the Matt Gaetz report to be public. They're the biggest hypocrites on the planet. When it's one of them that does it, all of a sudden they clench up and they don't want to talk about it. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Again, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Ray. Ray is next up on PTL. Hey, Ray, what's going on?
Hey, I'd just like to make a statement about Joe Biden, our president,
Okay.
if I may.
Okay.
He is a caring, honest, respectful man. He's done more for our country in 4 years than that orange, lying, despicable, moron rapist has done in his lifetime. President Biden pardoned his son. That's family.
Mm-hmm.
I commend them for doing that. There's two things you can't buy, is your health and your family.
Mm-hmm.
I applaud our president. You've got an excellent program.
Well, thank you, sir. And I echo what you just said, and I appreciate that. I do believe Joe Biden's a decent man. I think maybe when he was asked about pardoning his son, he probably shouldn't have answered the question, maybe. But I certainly don't blame him for doing so, and the times have changed. Kash Patel is going to be leading the FBI, it looks like. How could anybody say that Joe Biden's a liar? Yeah, I understand he changed his mind when Trump won, and then Kash Patel looks like is going to be the leader of the FBI. Can anybody blame him? And then these idiots on CNN, and Scott Jennings is such an idiot. Idiots like Scott Jennings who, oh, he's a liar. He's leaving the presidency a disgrace. Donald Trump could literally sodomize somebody his last day in office, and Scott Jennings wouldn't say the same about him. I mean, and by the way, who is Scott Jennings? A former advisor to George W. Bush. Thanks for advising George W. Bush to go to war into Iraq. Boy, that worked out really well, Scott. That's what you're famous for. The George W. Bush presidency, which was a horrendous presidency. Hundreds of thousands of innocent people died because of that war in Iraq. We were told weapons of mass destruction, which they never found. And Scott Jennings advised George W. Bush. Wow, what a great advisor. Thanks, Scott. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Annie. Annie's next on PTL. What's up, Annie?
Hello, Brian. I'm a big Lee fan. I discovered
you.
just like a year ago or something. Not even a year ago, maybe
Thank
less
you.
than that. But anyway, I have so many things to say because I'm from New York and we always have something to say. First of all, I hope the drones going over Bedminster are illegal aliens and that they treat Trump the way that he treats illegal aliens. That's number one. Number two, Biden should have pardoned Hunter. I don't know why he didn't pardon him right from the get-go and shut that shit down immediately and say, leave him alone, leave my family alone. We have more important things to do. That's number two. And number three, which I think is a problem now that we have in this party, are Democrats who are elected as Democrats and then flip Republican. It just happened in Florida. I don't know why that's illegal, why that it should be illegal. You run as a Democrat, you win, and then you flip. It just happened in Florida. Some Democrat, what's her name? I don't know her name. And then also Fetterman is making a hard turn to the right. And this Eric Adams in New York City, who I always thought was a Republican in fancy club clothing. I always thought he was. I never liked him. But I find that to be so infuriating. If they're supposed to build up, how are they allowed? The Democrats are deceiving other Democrats. And I think that's such a problem. All right, I'm done yapping.
No, I mean, you're quite all right. I mean, I agree with a lot of what, pretty much everything of what you just said, Annie. We're living in some very strange times.
I have such election depression. I do.
The political spectrum has changed quite a bit over the course of the last 8-9 years. And we're, like I said, we're in some very strange times right now.
I can't get over how everybody's just falling into line. Time Magazine making him the person of the year. It's infuriating.
It is. The person of the year is a liable, adjudicated rapist and a 34-count felon. So that's, I'd love to interview somebody from Time Magazine about that one. Thank you for the call, my dear. I appreciate you. What's going to be next? Scott Peterson? Is he going to be the man of the year? Oh, really? What, Rudy Giuliani? Is Rudy Giuliani going to be the next man of the year? Maybe Vladimir Putin. Put him on the front of Time Magazine. What a joke. They're only doing it for money. Time Magazine, make no mistake about it, is putting Donald Trump on the front page of Time so that shows like this can talk about it and they can sell more magazines. They are despicable. 702-221-7283. Catherine. Catherine is next up on PTL. Catherine, please lower your radio if you can, Catherine. You're next up on PTL. Go right ahead.
Okay.
They are despicable.
I hear myself. We have a little bit of a delay. That's okay. Go ahead, Catherine.
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hello? I can't tell if am I on?
Yes, you are. You are on.
Okay, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you because I didn't know about your show, but I agree with so many things that you're saying. I do have an opinion about the subways in New York and how dangerous they are.
Yes.
I don't think, I agree, I don't think that Daniel Penny was I don't know if he was a MAGA or not, but I think he was trying to protect these people. And I agreed with the people that, if I needed protection, I would want someone who would be able to protect me.
I understand, but can I ask you something about that? I think it's okay to protect people, but would you want somebody to keep a chokehold on somebody for 6 minutes even after they become unconscious?
I think he made it. I agree that he made a mistake. And I just don't think that under the circumstances he should be jailed for his life trying to protect people.
Well, I don't think anybody is saying that, but let me ask you a question.
Hold on,
Catherine. Catherine, hang on. Let me just ask
you. I want to say one more thing.
I will allow you to, but let me just go on that thought so I don't forget. I don't think anybody is saying he deserves to spend the rest of his life in jail. I never said that. But here's what I do say. I do believe he broke the law. I do believe it was involuntary manslaughter. I do believe that when people are telling him to get the chokehold off and let him go after he's unconscious and he remained to keep him in a chokehold even after people were off the subway, I think that's criminal negligence. Now, I'm not saying he deserves the rest of his life in jail, but I would give him 1 year to think about what he did. I do believe that he should have been convicted on something.
All right. Well, I'm not sure I agree with you, but I can understand your logic or the whole motivation, what you're saying.
Let me ask one
but
more
I don't
question then.
understand all these people. I don't understand all these people that are creating much more out of it than they need
Okay,
to.
in society, do you think it should be okay to kill somebody if they're screaming and yelling at people? Do you think that's the society you want to live in?
If you're screaming and yelling that you're threatening to kill them, that's a different
Okay,
story.
so let me rephrase my question. In society, if somebody is screaming and threatening people, should anybody be allowed to use deadly force against them in that moment?
I don't think that he meant to use deadly force.
I'm not saying that he meant to use deadly force, but hear me out on my question.
Should they?
Hold on.
Should they? No.
Okay.
If they don't mean to, and it happens, then it's a different.
Okay, so in
logic.
society, I understand. That's why I said involuntary manslaughter. If you go through a stop sign and you're not drunk, even if you are drunk, but let's just say you're not drunk, you're going the speed limit and you go through a stop sign and you kill a lady crossing the street, should there be no repercussions for that person, even though they didn't mean to do it?
I think it's a matter. There should probably be repercussions, but I think it would have to be examined. It would have to be.
I agree. Of course, I agree.
And that's why. But I find that now there's all these people are coming forward. People who are coming forward weren't there to help this guy. He had many convictions against him.
I understand, but here's the problem. Hold on.
That is a problem.
But
and it's not being brought up.
I'm not saying it's not a problem, but when it comes to the actual case itself and what took place in those 6 minutes, unfortunately, it's academic to what took place in those 6 minutes. You could say George Floyd was a really bad guy and he did a lot of bad things in his life, but all that matters is Derek Chauvin put a knee on his neck for 8 minutes. I agree with you. This was a very troubled man. He was very mentally ill. But what I don't like is when people make assumptions about his family, which are not true. Example, his father's talked about this. His nephews talked about this, how their home was always open to him and he was in and out of facilities. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to get help. This man was mentally disturbed. He did not want to live with his family. He would rather be homeless. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. If somebody has a drug problem, you can't help them if they don't want to be helped and they're an adult. So in this specific situation, when I hear people attacking his father and members of his family, I think it's beyond inappropriate. They did try to help him. He was in and out of facilities. He didn't want to get help. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped.
That's true, but he was being seen by mental health. They kind of let him go, and after being picked up for several offenses, nothing was done.
Well, then you can't blame the family for that. That's not the family's fault.
No, I'm not saying.
I agree with I agree with what you're saying. We have a problem in this. I agree with you as a whole. We have a huge problem with those that suffer from mental disabilities in this country and suffer from mental issues. We don't do enough to help people that are suffering, like I believe Jordan Neely was, schizophrenia and others. So I agree with you. But we also, in my opinion, can't say as a society, if somebody threatens somebody or yells at somebody or scares somebody, that we're allowed to kill them either. There has to be some middle ground there. If Jordan Neely released him when he wasn't a threat, then I wouldn't have had a problem with what he did. But he didn't. All right, I appreciate everybody joining into the program and calling in. We're going to continue to monitor the Nancy Mace situation. This is an independently owned radio show, so we asked for your support. If you want to help us out and support what we do, if you enjoy the show. We've had a lot of new callers today, which I appreciate. I ask that you check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. We passed 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. We got to keep going. We got to get to 100,000 in a couple months. In order for that to happen, we need your help. At PTL Radio Show. Subscribe to my YouTube page, at PTL Radio Show, and check out some of our great sponsors like Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. If you're there during a Vegas Golden Knights game, the Pass the Puck contest, where you could win up to $500 in free slot play Mondays and Wednesdays this month. Earn a free bottle of wine if you get $300 in or I should say 300 points on a slot machine. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. PushingTheLimits.live is my website where we accept donations and you can buy merchandise. Please subscribe to my YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. Thanks to Ron Filipowski from Midas Touch for joining us. I'm reminding myself that I will not have McDonald's, at least for the rest of the day today. That McRib got to me, man. I don't know. Be careful with that McRib. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.